When people talk, listen, man, I'm going to raise that red flag.
This narrative, especially after 1 year.
1 year.
One bad year. It's one big splash move. And because I don't think people understand how much cap space we can create.
Alex, I want to ask you, because you're a very humble person.
And I'm never going to be right about anything.
Yeah.
I was right.
What's up, everyone? I am done with my project that I've been working on. It's a spreadsheet for calculations for a business, doesn't matter. But I'm actually really excited about it, so I actually got a little bit of energy kind of built up. So I thought I'd do another show, another recording, another pod. So let's jump in. So I've kind of gone through this whole good organization, bad organization thing. And I think that everybody's kind of missing the point of why I'm doing those. It is to say that we should act like good organizations, but it's indirectly saying that we are a bad organization or a not well-run organization. So every offseason, I'm guilty of this too. I get all invested in the hoopla of who could we get, who we're gonna get, who's gonna sign, who's gonna get drafted, blah 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 blah. And every year we come up, I don't want to say disappointed, but eventually we're disappointed. Like we'll get somebody and we'll get really excited about them, even though we don't intellectually, we're not like, oh, they're not that good. Like, I remember we got, like, Rashad Higgins, and we were like, oh, that was, like, one of Baker's, like, security blankets. He had, like, 6 touchdowns. Like, he could be a difference maker. It's like, what? Like, it's Rashad Higgins. Like, it's not going to do anything. So, there's all these guys that are on the market, and they ain't gonna come here. I mean, it's just that simple, because historically they never do. We're the ones that get we're the ones that get those like old NBA players, or like old people that are just trying to, you know who we are? We get like the Mike Tysons who do like the Jake Paul fights. That's who we get. We get these like names that are just looking for a payday at the end of their career. And then we get excited because maybe they got a year left. And then they're here for a year, and then they leave, and we do the same thing over and over again. It's like the definition of insanity. We like literally do it over and over and over again. So let me just kind of tell you who we are. So I've been doing this whole thing where I go back to 2019. And you know what? I have no idea why I chose 2019. It was such a random year, but because I chose it then, I'm just going to keep using it. So 2019 is the year. And since 2019, that's 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. I don't know. I did this before this. So 6 years. We have 6 years. Guess how many head coaches we've had in 6 years? We've had 7 head coaches in 6 years. 7 head coaches. That's like impossible. 7 head coaches in 6 years? Like, what? We're that organization. We're that level of incompetence that we have 7 coaches in 6 years. Rivera fired mid-season. Thewell took over. Then Rule got fired. Wilkes took over. Reich got fired. Tabor took over. And now we have Canales. Like, let that sink in. 7 coaches in 6 years. And we just kind of like forget about like that level of incompetence, right? So that's who we are. Guess how many quarterbacks like actually been named the starting quarterback for a significant period of time. Like, I'm not talking about the PJ Walkers or the Will Greers or the Kyle Allens. I'm not Kyle Allen's, Heineke's, because Kyle Allen actually had the most starts that year. We had 7 quarterbacks in 6 years. 7 starting quarterbacks, like named QB1 in 6 years. Cam Newton, Kyle Allen, Teddy Bridgewater, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Andy Dalton, Bryce Young. We're the organization that trades away probably a Hall of Fame running back. Like, we don't get good players very often. Like, we just don't. I'm going to go through all players that we've gotten, and they're not good. And when we have good players, we're like, see ya, Christian McCaffrey. See ya, DJ Moore. See ya, Baker. See ya, Brian Burns. And then we somehow don't extend good players that we do have because they don't want to be here. Frankie Louvu, Hassan Reddick. They don't want to be here. They're like, oh yeah, they'll give us the most money. We're gonna go there. Oops. I don't want to stay here. They're the organization that has 7 coaches in 6 years, and also 7 quarterbacks in 6 years. 10 starting quarterbacks if you count Heineke, PJ Walker, and Will Greer. Like, this is impossible. So we sit here as Panthers fans and we're like, oh yeah, money talks. People want to come because they'll come if we pay them more money. Frankie Louvu didn't, and he was beloved here. He was like, see y'all. Patrick Queen didn't. He could offer more money here. He's like, absolutely not. Money does not talk. They don't want to be here. They're just like, no, I don't want to play the Panthers. That crappy organization. They're the organization that had 7 head coaches in 6 years. Let that sink in. They're also the organization that has the all-time worst defense for points against. Why do we do this for ourselves? We set ourselves up for such heartbreak. And I mean, it's so fun to play pretend and, pretend we're a good team and a good organization. And that just ain't been the case since Richardson. I mean, as soon as Tepper took over, this organization went downhill. And that's just how it is. I would love it if we got Josh Sweat and T. Higgins and yada, 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 yada. But we probably have a below average coach because he was a quarterback's coach 2 years ago. I like Canales. I think he will eventually be okay. But if if we have 7 coaches in 6 years, we probably will never find out because he probably won't last at this rate. Dan Morgan, who knows? But it was historically the worst defense, and we keep on coming back to this. Well, we got those guards. Okay? They weren't Pro Bowlers when they came in. They'd never been to a Pro Bowl. They were just good players that we probably overpaid for. And Robert Hunt, good for him. He had a great season. He earned that contract. Damian Lewis did too. And we say these things like, we got them. No, they just lived up to their contract. They lived up to the value we're paying them. It's not like he stole anything or saw this diamond in the rough. We got exactly what we offered. And you know what? Guards don't need to be on prime time to get paid for the next contract. Skill players, they usually get paid when they're on TV more. And Carolina's a small market. We're not on TV very often. I was in North Carolina, 2 hours away from the stadium, and they were not showing the Carolina Panthers on national TV. But they showed the Commanders game instead. I was 2 hours away from the stadium, and they weren't even showing the game. That's how bad this team is. And this is all, I'm not trying to crap on him, but I think it's just not getting across to people. People just aren't understanding that. I would love it if T. Higgins came. I would love it if Josh Sweat came. I would love it if these guys somehow ignored the fact that we're this awful organization and that we were the team that spent all of this to go get a quarterback and then benched him after 2 games of the second year. Even if you think that was the right move, nobody else in the NFL thought it was. Nobody else in the NFL thought it was the right move, and we want those people to come here. Like, it's just like, what are we doing? So, the Matrix, Neo goes and sees the Oracle, and the Oracle says, "You know what that sign says right there? Know thyself." And we gotta know who we are. In 2019, our big signings were Matt Paradis, Darrell Williams, old Bruce Irvin, Kid O'Brien, Parker Collins, and old Gerald McCoy that tore his Achilles first game of the season. So basically, Bruce Irvin and Gerald McCoy are Mike Tysons that are trying to fight Jake Paul for some money. That's know thyself. That's our organization. That's what we get. We're the organization that our only MVP ever in 2020 is terminated. Our only MVP ever. And he was terminated for Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Two Gloves, who was a backup in New Orleans. Our only MVP ever, 5 years prior, was terminated. We're that team that terminates maybe their best player of all time for a backup quarterback. And this was like our big offseason for us. Probably the biggest wide receiver signing we've had in a while was Robbie Anderson. We traded for him. He didn't come here on his own. We traded for him. So, terminated Cam Newton, got Robbie Anderson, traded for Russell Okung, got signed Teddy Bridgewater, and Eli Apple, just hoping that he would live up to his draft stock. And that was our big moves. That was going to change the organization. Teddy Bridgewater was our big move. Oh, then, of course, we go to 2021, and can't give Teddy Bridgewater another year. You say, no, go on. We're going to trade for Sam Darnold. Big splash move, right? We're getting Sam Darnold. We're not getting Aaron Rodgers. We're getting Sam Darnold. And then we get these guys. We traded for Gilmore. Oh, big signing. Well, probably because he's getting hurt all the time at this point. Oh, he was just defensive player of the year. If Bill Belichick is trading somebody, he might just be Mike Tyson trying to go fight Jake Paul. Signed Cam Irving, just hoping he lived up to his draft stock. Probably the worst tackle in the league. And I think we gave him a 3-year deal. We signed Hassan Reddick. Great signing. This is before Hassan Reddick was Hassan Reddick. To a 1-year prove-it deal. That's what he wanted. And halfway through the year, we all said, oh man, him and Brian Burns together, this is great. Why don't you freaking extend him? The only thing I can think of is either they're incompetent or he didn't want to be here. My guess is he's more like Frankie Louvu and he didn't want to be here. Because we offered him a contract. And he said, no, I'm going to Philly. Because I want to be close to home. Yeah. Sure. We signed Frankie Louvu. Then didn't want to be here. This is who we are. We're the team that trades for Henderson from the Jags. Laviska Shenault. Those are our big moves. So 2022. Talked about it. Rashad Higgins, Xavier Woods, Donta Foreman, Damian Wilson, Matt Ioannidis, Bradley Bozeman, who we cut, Justin Burris, and then traded for Baker Mayfield, who we released after 6 games. And why don't people want to come here? Because we're the team that releases you after 6 games. 2023, Hayden Hurst, Deshaun Williams, Shai Tuttle, Eddie Dalton, Von Bell, Miles Sanders, DJ Chark, Eric Rowe, Troy Hill. We're not the T. Higgins organization. We're the DJ Chark organization. Curtis Samuel, 1,000-yard receiver. Just let him go. We're the organization that gives up good players and not gets good players. And people wonder why. And I feel like this has all been so negative, and I don't want to be negative. I'm just trying to prove a point. Like, the only way, in my opinion, and people, we're so optimistic, and I love that we're so optimistic because I think it's great that to be optimistic. And if it happens, great. I would love that if T. Higgins comes. But according to this big sample size, the most valuable wide receiver on the market ain't coming to the Panthers. Most likely. You can say he's from here. Maybe, I don't know. You could be right. Well, Dan Morgan, he signed Robert Hunt. Look what he can do. God, that's where our standards are right now. In the same offseason, the Eagles signed Hassan Reddick, Bradbury. I traded for A.J. Brown. Got Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Linval Joseph. Like, that's awesome. I want to be that. Like, that's what we get excited for. But we get excited about Robert Hunt. And then we watch the Texans, man. They get Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs. I mean, and people want to come there. They got a players coach who was a former player running an excellent offensive system, an exciting offensive system because it's under the Shanahan tree. You know what it seems like? Players kind of like to go to like Shanahan tree places. Tyreek Hill is really excited to go to Mike McDaniels. Stephon Diggs is pretty excited to go to the Texans. Christian McCaffrey was pretty excited to go to, I know he's not a receiver, to the 49ers. Okay, Dallas, who you drawing here? Like, I don't see. And then you got every player. We're voted like one of the worst facilities. We got like a 35-year-old stadium. We play on turf and everybody hates it. Everybody always complains about it. They ain't coming here, man. We got one shot. One shot is that Bryce is exciting and polarizing. And that's it. And we benched him. We're the team that benched him. We're the team that has the worst defense of all time. Know that. Know thyself. That said, I would love it. I would love it. But most likely we're going to be the Thielen, Jadeveon Clowney, Austin Corbett organization. Most likely. Because that's who we've been. But we love Thielen. He's great. Played 9 games. 35 years old. We'll see. But overall, we should keep our optimism cautious. We should be cautiously optimistic and not overly optimistic because we'll just let ourselves down. We'll get excited about, I don't know, Elijah Moore. That's who Mike K said. We'll get excited about him. We'll start playing tape on him. We'll go into the preseason like, oh man, did you see this play that he made? And then we'll win 5 games again. Because we're really good at doing that. We're really good at winning 5 games. We're not really good at getting receivers. We're not really good at keeping any good players. Except Derek Brown. Good job. Good job, us. Kept Derek Brown. All right. Thanks for listening. Later.